Okay. So there's a couple of things. Right now, just physically, where is the workspace that you can connect to on the S drive? So it's on S drive, share workspaces, and that's the 1012 workspace there. Okay. So I'm just gonna start uh, fresh, like you were doing this for the first time. So I'm going to like rename my preference or delete my preference folder. So the preference folder is where the configuration XML or that setting is saved in. So it's stored under the users folder here. Looks like your UPF. So it's users, your name, app data, local, bit.ly, open rows designer. And the latest one is like 12. So that may be 11 and that may be 10, 9, 8, 7, or whatever. So this is different for everyone. It depends on how many versions of ORD were installed on your machine.
or how many installs you had done, because when they had to reinstall my 1010 last year, it created a second folder when they did it. So it's like
Yeah,
every time you have an install of MicroStation, whether it's the same version or not, it puts another number at the in the folder. It just creates another folder.
yeah. So this press folder is the usual place where your UPF exists right here. So this is your UPF folder, your preference folder, and this is the guy that controls that manage configuration settings. And this is like a text file, XML file. You can definitely edit it here, but I don't recommend too much of this stuff. So you prefer to do all the editing in this nice interface GUI that I'm gonna show you. But this is where the important file is kept here for your managed configuration. So what I'm gonna do is just rename this to BAK. And the moment I start up MicroStation now, uh, so we talked about making your own. Here's the one that's installed here. I just made a copy of that and renamed it and put the under your properties here, put that switch there, the space negative WS power project wise disable integration equals 1. That disable the project wise prompt. So just to demonstrate what's the difference between what's installed versus what we change here is if you double click on this here for 1012, that came with the install. And definitely function wise it works the same, but you get this annoying project wise prompt. And you usually always hit cancel or whatever out of this and go into the part to open the file here. So with that switch there, when I click on the same launch icon, it's still 1012 I'm using, but I disable that project-wise prompt so that annoying prompt don't come up anymore. So let's go to this page. Okay, so that's the only difference between the one that's installed here and the one here that I may copy. And people say, well, why don't you just edit this? You can't. You can't edit this. I try to rename it, whatever. It, it's just not, it won't let you do it. You try to add a switch to that properties, it won't let you do it. You just don't have permission to edit the icon that was installed. The only thing you can do is make a copy and rename it and do whatever you need to it. This ensures your desktop is always to that version, because sometimes when people have a minor release, maybe in 3 or 4 months from now, you have a 10.12.03, you know, something. And that's a minor release, right? It's not a major release. But this icon is no good anymore. That's why I put the full path of the build number here, because even for a minor release, this icon is no good for that next release. So bear that in mind. And the one they deliver with the workspace never made sense to me. It was called My Choice or something. So workspaces. So that's the one they deliver. And, you know, is it NCDOT 1010 or is it 10? I don't know what this is. What is My Choice anyway? And it's I don't know. So just I never use this. So um I never use that neither. But okay. So now we get to the manage configuration part. So after you're done with the workspace and everything that's set up, you just have to configure this to point to that workspace configuration folder. So to manage workspaces, click on this here, and you're gonna get this. You so Craig may have some other issue that who's creating custom configuration or something when he did this, and if you see that, just delete it. Uh, so I'm going to add a new configuration, and I'm going to give it a name like WS12S for workspace 12 for the share network folder. And you can put a description here. Um, maybe a network share folder. The other ones could be local C drive if you had it there. Uh, visible. And here's the part where you browse to that configuration folder. So I go to my S drive, share, um, workspaces, S12, and configuration. That's the folder it wants. Configuration folder. We have a configuration folder here. Uh, that's all you have to do for now. And click OK and OK. So now you have a managed configuration for this. Um, now you can pick your look at our workspace, which I will fix that in a minute. Roadway, and you can do your usual.
Can you go back to 1 second?
Do what?
Can you just show me where that file was again?
What file?
Where you just went to on the S drive.
We're
That
recording it.
configuration. You browsed it. Went so quick.
Yeah. So it's on the S share
Yeah.
and workspaces and WS12.
Oh, it's not out.
Do what?
I see where it's at.
Okay.
Workspaces.
Yeah. You see 3 workspaces, WS10, 11, and 12 there.
Yep.
And then you can select your workspace, your work set, and your roadway file here. So I can go sheeting. I have a folder here for 12 files I upgraded recently. And, here's just use your workspace, your work set like normal and do your own, your testing like normal. So everything in the workspace is configured like it is in 1010. It should work like 1010. It's just minor difference in the civil labor that I got to fix, do some tweaking in to get that ready. But here you can see I loaded the in the works here. You can check if you want to see. Jesus. So to check if you have your workspace loaded, what in the world? So you can, hover over this blue little scroll icon here. It should tell you you have a workspace and a work set. I'm not sure why it's not displaying it there. Right there. It shows you the workspace and the work set being loaded there. So if you see a scroll with that circle across it with the X or the slash through it, that means you don't have a workspace or work set, which I can show you later. But this file is a 1012 file and has all the features. The new thing here is the new silver labeler. So silver labeler is here. See the same interface and everything here, but more options here in 1012. Check that out when you get the chance. And we know some checks, did it load up the right element templates and so forth. So you should see two. You should see roadway, three really. Roadway lighting, electrical, roadway, and NCDOT. So that's a good sign that it loaded my workspace correctly. I chose roadway. It will always load up NCDOT plus the roadway LE. Uh, it should not you should not see survey or photogrammetry or hydro here. So it loaded my element templates. That means it loaded my levels library. So I have NCDOT levels here. NCDOT roadway levels here. Roadway lighting and electrical here. More NCDOT levels. So all the levels load up correctly in 1012 and everything. And that's what we want, feature definition, everything else, because element template works. You do your regular annotations and everything else the same way here. Let me remove that. So I can remove annotation. I can annotate like I used to always with previously in 11, 10, 12, and so forth. So everything all came out looking okay. Yes. Definitely do more checks and more in-depth checks than I'm doing here. uh, so, once you open file, do whatever you need to, you can close it here. And the other thing I want to show is, well, I have another workspace on my C drive, right? The one they installed there. So that one's, I haven't upgraded yet or done anything to it. Is this one here. So this one is the default that what comes out of project wise and so forth. So I still need to maintain this a little bit in case, the S drive doesn't work out for me or whatever. So I can manage configuration for this. So I can open it up here. And notice I just opened that file there. It didn't save my recent file list. And that was one of the bug or the problem that I was running into until you do something with a file that I'm gonna show you in a minute. A workaround for that. Shows that takes a long time for that. See how I didn't remember the list of files that or files that I just opened. That's like a, but you can see everything load up fine. It's just not showing the list, which can be annoying for some folks because for me to go back to that, I gotta search to the whole, you know, folder structure again. It's like I don't want to do that every time. But I'll show you how to circumvent that in a minute. So I'm gonna add the configuration on my C drive. This one's just gonna call WS12. And it's local drive on the C. Browse to it on my C drive. So C drive is ncdot connect workspace configuration 1012. And that's it. No. ncdot connect. That configuration 1012 folder. Click OK. Okay. So that's going into that workspace. And you can select it like normal here. Oh, another thing I want to show you about this one here, the share one, you can pick multiple DOTs here. So you have, this is just demonstration that you can organize the different DOTs. Say you're a private engineering firm, and you may want to have all 10, 12 workspaces in one, folder here. So here's all the works, uh, 10, 12 workspaces for the multiple DOTs here.
Hey,
But yeah,
does the workspace for the share folder on our S drive, does that use your work set input file on your desktop, or what does it use to determine
yeah,
whether
yeah.
which
So
drop down you get
yeah,
for
you're gonna have to still maintain it, but I'll get to that when we do the workspace setup thing. Uh, but let's get to this first. That's a good question though. Hold that thought. So here, you pick your North Carolina workspace and you can see it goes to, the one on my C drive here, the work sets. And you can pick all these, you know, these ones, we have lots of empty photo like aviation, photogrammetry, railroad, uh, congestion management, traffic control, traffic safety.
Yeah, isn't what the TSMO folder is? Is basically all the traffic control, traffic safety, and signing all lumped together now.
I don't
Didn't they
know.
combine those now? I
I
thought
don't know.
I thought I remember
Yeah, that's what
hearing
Nick
that
did.
somewhere.
Yeah, Nick did that. But I still wonder because you still have signing. That's Walter uh, area. He still maintained that. Um, this right here, I wonder what happened to like work zone. Uh, that Justin Beaver was doing. So I
Mm,
think it may got absorbed here. I don't know.
yeah.
Traffic
Yeah,
work zone.
I know that one has traffic control in it now,
Yeah.
or traffic management, which is traffic
Yeah.
control.
I think
And I
so.
want to say I thought they put in one or two other groups in with that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's the new naming convention they wanted to put on the while they were doing this whole naming conventions and stuff for all the units on project wise, standardizing them. So this might be all inclusive, but I'm not sure because then if it is, then all that other traffic uh, disciplines should be all in there.
Well, yeah, that's
And,
where this
yeah,
comes in. So when you go to the S drive, you don't have all those.
yeah,
So
okay,
I'll empty those folders. I
makes
delete them
sense.
because you don't
Yeah,
need them anymore. Um, so it's more cleaned up here on my S drive, is what I'm trying to demonstrate here. But this is what comes out of project wise. I'm not messing with it. I was just gonna say, you know, do so with this. So, okay. So, this still works. So you can open up a file and just, all that just fine. Um, so, um, one thing was about this. Remember, I showed you that my choice. What does this uh, this input file that I never use? Well, I've used it several years ago, but we don't need it anymore. Why is it still here? I don't know, but it's a way to combine the different disciplines into a combination. So you could do combination look at the default is so the default is everybody's not going to do roadway and hydraulics. I don't know why you made that default. The default should be C7, which does exist here, which is I'm not using any combination at all, right? So this never made sense to me. I don't never use it. So I always use the work set input file on my desktop. Um,
Now, doesn't the combo that you're talking about, the combo 7, doesn't that load everything?
no, combo 7 doesn't exist on the list.
Okay.
So
So what gets loaded when
C0 it
you
loads
if you
everything.
okay. So what does it load if you don't have anything specified? It only loads your role at that point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or if you put C7 or you know Craig in there. This is well that don't exist in here. So I'm not loading anything. So yeah, so that's why, that doesn't never made sense to me. But I did this here, just said, uh, that's why I included here. So, but this work set input file is still going to be needed when we have, I'm going to show you when we do, you know, when we use the workspace on our server, why we still need this. And it has to be modified a little bit, but we don't need this part of it. we can actually delete this out. I just need this part here to be intact for the workspace on S drive, but the C drive, I could do something different. I don't need this altogether. So let's look first. Well, you notice when I open the manage configuration here, when I double click on a desktop icon here, it pulls up your, it still don't remember your workspaces or whatever. But all those combinations could be keyed in here. So you can select, like, if I want NCDOT all here, and I can select that as an option, or I can select a single, like Roadway or whatever here. So that takes care of the need for the my choice input file that I never use, right? That option is available on the workspace on your C drive and your S drive. So you don't need, no. So I have you don't need the my choice input file to do the combination that you want, right?
Um, so like, so if you had multiple, let's say, workspaces, the system installed, then you probably would need it, right, for 10.10 and 10.9.
What?
Since would you need this, that my choice for the previous versions?
No, no, no. It reads the same.
Same.
So yeah,
Okay.
the 1011, 1010, and
Oh, they all look at the
they
same
all
source
reach
file.
the same.
Oh,
Yeah, they all works on the same input file. So yeah, and we could test that out. Like right here, I have 1010, right? And let's see, I can do your regular 1010 here. Pull that up. And I think it's default to the training work set. Yeah. So I have my training work set, right? So if I want to switch to my um, C drive work set, I just go here and change that to L1, right? And pull up 1010 now. It should let me choose the uh, the work set on my C drive is what I expect it to do. See, these are the work set on my C drives. So it works the same for 1010, 1011, 1012 here. But the thing about 1011 and 1012 is you don't really need this to switch different. Uh,
none.
I call them work sets location, right? That's all
Yeah.
you're doing with this is switching work set locations. So what you can do here under manage here, if you want to switch work sets in 1011 and 1012, you just edit this manage configuration here and see this workspace setup radio button here, turn it on and add this line here. So let me delete this. So right now, see there's work sets plural root and there's work set singular root. You want the work sets, the plural one. Add that variable, that value there. Where is that work set located? So mine work set I'm going to on my C drive is C projects, NCDOT. That's where my work sets are. So I just copy that path and put it here. And okay, so I add that here.
Do you need a slash at the end of that variable?
Actually, I did this wrong. I switched to let's see. Add work sets. The variable value is this. I put it up there, dummy. And that's a good. That's I think you're right. You do have to put a slash. Maybe I'm gonna try it without it. See what happened, Craig. I think you do though. We'll see if it doesn't work. Okay. So now, I don't know. When I launch this, it has that variable set here. I can go to my training work set or my projects on my C drive. Yeah, so project on my C drive. Now, if I want to switch to the the training work set, I can go back into the manage configuration, edit this configuration again. And in the path here, edit that and change that path here. So that path on my C drive is C is the DOT V8 workspace configuration. Or is this civil discipline? No.
The training's in the training folder right off of C drive.
No.
It?
It's in the unit. Yeah, so row NCDOT work sets. Remember, it's looking for that CFG, not the actual DGN file. So I believe that's the folder. Copy that. And should be a slash at the end, like Craig said, but I'm gonna try without it. I don't know if it picks it immediately, maybe. Let me try. No, it doesn't take it immediately. Get out here and relaunch it. Yeah, you can see now I have my training work sets.
As
So
much
that's how
trouble
you,
as that is, it almost feels like it'd be easier just to create a separate managed workspace configuration to go between projects and training. That way, all you have to do
well,
is
they,
just
yeah,
switch
you
configuration in.
would, but they won't allow you to specify the same configuration folder. Like here, I try that. There's a way to do this, Craig, actually, but it's not. It's deter or they discourage you to do it. But like here, if I want to add another, like say, workspace 12 version 2, right? And to the same folder here. No, not that same folder here. it says you cannot do
Okay.
that. So, but I could defeat that. There's a trick that you can do to defeat that, but I'll show you a different. And, and that may be something we probably do, but I don't know. It's that it doesn't want you to do this. And by the way, I asked Derek Gray on the next agency call to demo this uh, managed configuration utility here. And I just want to ask a whole bunch of questions of how are we supposed to set it up for our user? How's the workspace admin role and all this? And so any question like this we have that we can ask him in the
Gotcha.
next time, in the next call. But yeah, it makes sense. I want to make another configuration here, but I want to define a different variable right here. So, well, no, you can't do that. And one reason is that it goes with our workspace uh, that's on the S drive. While you're doing this, see that when you edit this, if you notice this workspace setup here, where is this stored? So this value is stored here in the workspace itself. So if you click on this workspace, see this workspace CFG here?
Okay, that's why you can't
Yeah,
create two, because it's pointing to the same file,
yeah,
and it doesn't like to do that.
yeah. Same thing. Remember, if you had this on the server, well, if one users want to do training and the one want to do the C projects, he can't because this is on the server and the servers only have one file. Both users can't write to that same file, right? So they can't use this workspace setup dialog box here. They can't use this here
So if people are
because,
using the server-based workspace, everybody's gonna have to be doing the same thing right now then, right? Either project
yeah,
work or
well, if you
training.
use this, but if you use the input file, like I said, it would still work like normal.
Okay.
And this is for just the people using the C drive workspace that can do this until we can, uh, redirect this CFG file somewhere else, like the local, you know,
A local version of that one
yeah,
file.
yeah, somewhere on the user local machine instead of the workspace. Because right now it's stored in the workspace. If he's using a workspace on his C drive, he can write to this all day long. But if he's using a workspace on the server that's shared with everybody else, you don't want him to write to that, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't make sense for him to write to that because he's going to mess up somebody else down. Now I got projects on a different location. So that's the explanation for the commendation and why you still need the input file if you have a server versus if you're doing a C drive. This is how you would change your work set location. Um,
So as long as you have that workspace set up radio button switched off, it's going to use the file on your desktop to determine what work sets you're determining.
yeah, this is always off for a reason, but it's still is kept. It's like I can open this, I come back and edit. It's still displayed. That doesn't mean it's not taking the variable. It's just not displaying it. It is still there. It's just not shown. This is very confusing. Not confusing, but it could be misleading. This just this display. It doesn't
Okay.
mean on
Okay.
and off.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah, because I could turn the display off here. It's still there. And if you edit that workspace CFG here, this one here, that's a text file too, by the way. You see that variable there. And it put in 2 for some reason. But you can see you know how this could be used to switch your workspaces. Okay. So that's switching your workspaces and your work set. Um, and I won't demo, the switching on the S drive because that works like normal, right? So if I do the S drive here and I have this feeding the input of my and it's set to L1, which is the C projects work set. These are C projects. Again, we saw it work for 1010. Oops. I need to edit the input file first. So if I want to switch to a work set on my training, I just do L2 here. And this may be faster than the workspace setup stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was
Maybe.
thinking.
So
That's why I was wondering if you could make a separate, WS 12 training custom config, but because it'd be quicker just to switch those than it would going through the whole variable setup than it is just to go edit the input file itself.
yeah. Now my training now. So I switched to L2. So, again, this work set input file works for all version 10.10, 10.11, 10.12. You can see it's working there. And you notice every time I open a 10.11 or 10.12 dialog box here, it doesn't remember my recent list here. And I tried everything to get this to show up. And it's like, I don't know. So going online, reading it, troubleshooting it, I think what they're doing is I still have to edit my configuration setup CFG in your program data folder, which they want to lock down in the near future. So when we deliver the workspace in a zip file, we always go to this program data folder to overwrite program data, gently uh, open rows, what version you're using, 10.10, 10.11, 10.12, whatever configuration, and we overwrite this configuration CFG file. So what do we overwrite it with? So in this CFG file, we define this variable here. By default, this variable is not set. Now, this variable was meant for the time the IT guy installed the software on your machine. At that installation process, it prompts up you to define this path for this variable. That's where it was meant to be defined. Once you define that during the installation, it becomes part of this configuration setup CFG, and the user should never edit that anymore. and that's how they want you to operate. But we find out if you leave this blank here, well, you're going to have some problems, especially with the 1010 and 1011. Because if you look at the 1010 here, we go back to Open Roads Designer 1010 CFG here. You know, we always define that, right? We always define that configuration. Yours may say NCDOT V8 workspace configuration 1010 or something, but we always manually define this and deliver it with our workspace zip. So in the future, they don't want you to do this. That's why we have the manage configuration dialog box to make it pretty and not having to edit this, but reading online, you still having problems. So I still have to edit this to get my recent file list here to show up. So what I'm going to do here is uh, make this active here. I'm going to define that like I used to do, uh, with 1010, right? And now I'm saying I'm using the custom configuration on my S drive. Okay, so now when I enable that or define that variable, I start up 1012 and see what happens. Remember, Craig, your earlier question about can you set two at the same time? I already have a WS, right? That has point to that same folder. So this custom one gets automatically created. So where did this come from? Well, the moment I define that configuration variable there, it creates this here. It has the same path as this. So this is a back way of defeating that. You can't have the same configuration point to the same folder. Well, you already showed me I can do that now. And one thing we know about this, where is all this saved? Where is all this configuration stuff saved? Remember? This is saved.
That
Remember
was
that?
the one at the config 1012 folder level, wasn't it?
No, the workspace was. No,
Okay.
you talking about this. This was. This was right. The workspace
Yeah.
setup was saved in the workspace, but all this is saved in that configuration XML in your perfs folder. Remember this here? Uh, Okay. Well, let me do the old way. uh, Users practice makes perfect, right? It's buried deep. I used to have a shortcut icon here to my purpose here. So it's under users, your name, uh, app data, local, Italy, open rows designer. And there, and that's profs. So it's all in here and this file here. So I'm gonna close out of here. Now, one trick you can do here. Well, let me do this first. Now that I have this, let me open up a file here and see if I could see my recent workspace and work set. Open this file here. And one thing about this is, your recent file list is always in the background when you open this. It just resets every time you exit out of the file and come back into it. Because if you just go back to your backstage, it's there, even before I make the changes.
If you close it before you actually exit out of MicroStation.
Yeah, if you go to the backstage, like what I'm about to do here, even before you make changes to that configuration, set up CFG, if I go to the backstage here, it's always there. This was always here.
Now,
It's
if you hit the
just
close button there, does it disappear?
uh
Not exit out of MicroStation, but just hit the close. Does it? I'm curious if it disappears. Nope.
no,
Okay, it
it's
still
there.
stays.
Yeah.
But it's
And
only for
that
this
could be,
session. Once you close MicroStation, it wipes.
yeah. But I made changes to that CFG though, right? So now when I open this application now, I expect my recent file list to pop up and work sets to pop up because I made configuration setup CFG changes. See there? So now this looks better to me, right? But the only thing with this is I can't use this one. This one, because I have defined it to one custom configuration, I can't have two, right? And if I select this, it's just going to show you my list with this one. So I'm always locked to that custom, that one there, until I go in and change that this to that workspace, the other one. So when you define this variable, it's just one workspace that you're working for. And that's the one downside to this. So when you set this up here, and if you want, and this recent file list and work set is important to you, you must define this variable to one workspace, whether it's on the C drive or the S drive. I recommend the S drive because that's where all the workspace has been upgraded. We're testing that. The one on your C drive is not, it's just 1010 workspace. We named it 1012, and we haven't done anything in that. But yeah, if you're doing your testing, just connect to your S drive. And if you have to define this variable and use one workspace, define it to the S workspace on the S drive. That's basically it for.
But that's the folder that's going to be locked out at some point, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So by the time that happens, we would have been out of this problem of having to define that just to get our recent work set and workspace or the files to show up.
Okay.
Now, as functionality, it works, right? You can see me switch from one workspace to the other without defining that variable. You just don't get this nice recent files and work set list here, which could be a problem for people on the floor. Says, hey, I just opened this file. Why do I have to, try to search for it all over again? So any questions so far? Have I lost everybody?
No,
Yeah.
I think I'm understanding it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just good for recording. Got a whole step.
They
So
go
anybody
down
has any
to
questions?
approve, but not necessarily.
Do what?
I said I got it to a point, but not necessarily.
You can go back and look at the recording.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to need to do is really review it again. But I mean, I understand what you're saying and the functionality and stuff like that. It's just putting it all together as usual.
Yeah. So the last thing I guess I need to show you here is like a cheat sheet or a something you shouldn't do, but I can do. See the important XML here. I can edit that and it puts in that custom configuration here, right? That variable, and that's the name that it gave me. So I couldn't change it in that dialog box. So I could do it here. I could say WS12 L2 maybe, or whatever. Just change the name here. It's going to create another custom if you keep on doing this, but it allows me to create multiple configuration to the same folder. So do that. That. Oh, here's one, and its configuration. And at one point or another, it will prompt you to, it will create another custom one here. uh, did I edit that um, configuration file? Then 10 to 12. So it went to, it's still defined to S drive. Okay. So if I open a file here, at one point or another, it's going to create another custom one. And I'm not sure we can put two variables in that same, well, we could try. Yeah. Yeah, one of these tries, it will create another custom one. But let me do this. Edit that. And change that to training, which is under C drive, workspaces, discipline, Roadway, workspace. and this is going to go edit this to edit this to the C drive. Projects on the C drive instead. C projects SVD. Okay. So close out this. See that? Hey, Chris, say, I don't want you to do this, but I'm going to create me another one here. So now when I select this, what happens? It goes training. This goes to my C drive. No. So that, even though we set that variable here to, I thought we changed this to the C drive.
I thought you did too.
Huh. It won't let me.
So is the custom configuration one set differently than the other two, or are they all set the same?
It should be blank. That right there, workspace should be blank. It's the same path here, but this here, it should be blank. Or no,
They're all the same.
yeah. It's reading that same workspace setup, CFG, that's one. Yeah, it's reading this same file here.
So it definitely seems like it'll just be easier to have the input file and have it read the input file to change your L setting to whatever you want.
Yeah, but if you want to get rid of your input files, this is how they want to do it until they can work out some. Again, this is still new to MicroStation, so they still got some more work to do, and that's why they, it's good to get Derek. He's gonna get probably Dan Ing to demo the configuration setup stuff next time we have a agency call. But it's right into this one file here. This is all writing to this one file here. And it says, well, you can't have multiple, variables, different variable to this one file here. But even though it's showing, even though it's showing two here, it's only picking up this last one. Because the way it reprogramming is, well, it's going to set this first. Then, because this is an equal and not a list, if it's a list, it's either this or that. Add files to the list. But this is an equal. That means you can only have one value. It's not a list. It's that value that variable equals that value only. So the
Yeah, it's
last one,
whatever's left one. Yeah.
yeah, the last one's read is this. But it's nice to know that if you had to switch to C drive, you can edit that, open this in text editor and copy that C drive. But that's like a roundabout way of circumventing what they don't want you to do. um, yes, just all those emails going back and forth about managed configuration kind of makes sense now, I guess. I know it may not look, like it had any meaning or whatever to it, but now you started seeing some of the things we had to do. And this is, by the time the user get 1012, this is what they need to know. And the challenge for us is how do we distribute that information and that instruction to them. Hopefully all this stuff be worked out by then, but I don't know. Any questions or any comments or?
No, that was
No,
a good demo.
yeah, I'm just gonna stop recording. Can you stop recording now?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
yeah.
Thanks for all that hard work you put